Greetings, welcome back. I'm Tim. I'm coming to you from my repair shop here in Anchorage, Alaska. And I got a quick tip if you're the owner of a Dodge Ram. This one's an 07 2500 HD. This happens to have the diesel motor in it. Anyway, if you've got a Ram and you're having problems with a no crank situation, maybe where you're going to start it and you got it in park, but it's not registering park on the little Prindle display. Maybe it's stuck in reverse. Possibly it's activating the alarm when you open the door. Then this tip is for you. Basically, that's the complaint for this customer. You may also have a stored code P2121 or P2122 that's affecting this issue. There is a TSB regarding this. There's an updated software flash, but this particular issue is a more common one that I've seen, and I'll give you a quick tip to help identify and correct this relatively easy DIY fix. Before raising the vehicle and servicing the range sensor, move the transmission shift lever to the low 1 manual position. So this customer was able to start the vehicle. It would crank after just kind of putting it down in neutral. It would crank okay. So basically the first thing you want to look at in this case is the transmission range sensor under the vehicle on the driver's side of the transmission. This one's a four-wheel drive vehicle, so it's got the drive shaft here, but just alongside the drive shaft and above slightly on the transmission, you'll see the transmission range sensor here, and it's got a little electrical connector. Well, in this case, it's real obvious here that there's transmission fluid dripping out of the range sensor. It's actually had a transmission overhaul in this case just a little while back, and this sensor appears to be a non-original equipment sensor, but it's dripping tranny fluid out of the connector. There, it's just drizzling on my hand there. You can see that. So that's a sign that your range sensor is shot. It's a sealed sensor, so it should be sealed against transmission fluid, of course, leaking into it. So that's your first sign of an issue. Basically, in this case, all we want to do is clean out the connector real good with some brake clean. Brake and electrical cleaner will clean that out, and then we'll pull this range sensor. It's just a couple screws here, little torque screws attaching it. There's really no adjustment on this range sensor, or you can call it it's also referred to as a neutral safety switch on some vehicles. Same deal, but no adjustment as far as that goes. There is a couple other things you want to look at. Make sure your shift cable is good and tight, it's not cracked. Go up on the column and make sure that that's connected properly, and there isn't an issue there with a bad shift cable. You know, if there's slop in there, but again, when it's drizzling fluid out, that's your first sign. Definitely recommending the OE part in this case. It's available, of course, at the dealership, but there's the part I'm slamming in here. It's actually an updated part that corrects some of these issues, and like I said, it looks a little different than the one we've got in there. So I'm pretty sure that's an aftermarket part, but again, the two attaching bolts are basically here and here. Okay, I'm just using a T20 Torx. I'll have to remove these screws here. Just pop them both out. That's just a little O-ring fitting. Let's be careful, some fluid may run out here. Oh yeah, a lot of fluid. Crap. Carefully realign the replacement range sensor and get in there. Careful to watch your O-ring for proper sealing and make sure the area is clean before installation of the replacement sensor. Now we're just going to clean the area and go ahead and clean the wiring. Like I said, use some brake clean. Make sure it's all cleaned out before we put things back together. After making the repairs, be sure to double check the operation of the range sensor by moving it through the gears. Make sure that it functions properly. Okay, well this one's a success. I'm going to go ahead and start it up. We'll warm it up and refill the transmission to the proper level and get this thing back to the customer. I appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.